The backwards is, oh, therefore, when I'm successful, then I'll be happy,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's the backwards. All of the research is pointing toward, no, it's the other way around. When we are happy, then we are successful. Because really, that's how you would define success at the end of the day. If you're happy, what else do you need?
Yeah.
Right?
Today's conversation is about something every single one of us deals with, and that is our own mind. Why is it that we can know exactly what we should do and we still struggle with it? Why does the brain seem to hold us back from the very life we want to live? So today I want to explore the psychology behind purpose, why our brain resists change, and what we can actually do to start living more intentionally. Dr. Paul Jenkins, welcome to the show, and thank you for being a guest on the Blue Stiley podcast.
Oh, Blue Stiley, I can't believe I'm actually on your show. This is so fun.
Well, you've had an amazing career as a clinical psychologist, a speaker, public keynote speaker, and the host of a podcast, Live on Purpose. And you've helped so many people and families understand the psychology behind, I guess, human behavior. But for our listeners and anyone watching, can you please give us a little sense of your backstory?
Well, you mentioned the clinical psychology, and that is true. I have been a psychologist, a licensed clinical professional psychologist since 1995. And yes, I put a 19 in front of that. And it kind of dates me a little bit, but I've been doing this for 3 decades. And the first part of my career was in traditional psychotherapy, mostly with children, adolescents, parents, families. And then I made a big shift about midway through that 30-year chunk of time to positive psychology.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some important differences there, and I can explain whatever we want to get into on that. But
I'd love for you to explain what positive psychology is, because psychology is completely different. So there's different reasons behind it. But can you explain positive psychology? Like what brought you to that?
yeah,
Because you're a positive person.
well, some of the backstory has to do with a time in my life, and I talk about this in my book, Pathological Positivity,
Mm-hmm.
where chapter 1 is titled Lightning Strikes. And it was, how you're going through life and you expect things to go a certain way, and then boom, you're hit by this thunderous bolt of lightning,
Mm-hmm.
whatever that is. And for me, it was a bankruptcy. Okay, for some people, it's a diagnosis or it's a divorce or whatever it is. It just knocks you off your feet.
Yeah.
And at this point, Blue, I had a busy outpatient practice. I was busy. You could,
Career-wise is what you're.
well, you couldn't even get an appointment with me for weeks. I had a waiting list and negative cash flow for 2 quarters in a row. You can't sustain that by the kind of math I do nowadays.
Sure. Right.
And so here I am at this lowest point in my career. I can't work more hours. And yet I'm in this predicament, right? And I was busy blaming the economy and my business partner and the insurance companies for not compensating psychologists fairly. Here I am in this muck where life has just beat me up. And I had already launched my podcast.
Mm-hmm.
I've been podcasting since 2007. Okay, that's before podcasting was even a thing.
You've been around and you have a huge following, a subscriber list. Like, I mean, you've definitely put the time in, right? Like, it's not a new thing and it wasn't a post-COVID thing.
Right, exactly. I'm like one of the OGs in the podcast space.
Mm-hmm.
And during that time, I had the privilege of interviewing Mary Louise Zeller. Now, Mary Louise is an octogenarian. That's a $10 word.
Yeah.
We make up words in psychology. It makes us feel smart.
Mm-hmm.
And in her 80s, she's a 6th-degree black belt in Taekwondo.
Uh-huh.
Okay, now I know you've got some background in martial arts. And you can appreciate what a 6-degree black belt might be,
Uh-huh.
right? This grandma can kick you the next Thursday. And I'm interviewing Mary Louise, and she knows a little bit about the situation that I'm in, where I've just been clobbered economically. This was just before I went through the actual bankruptcy. And she leans forward on that podcast, Mike, and she says this: Paul, the troops are not coming. And she let that sit for a minute, and then she followed it with this: we are the troops.
Mm-hmm.
She might as well have kicked me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad she didn't, because that would have really hurt. But she kick-started me
Oh, I love
into
that.
a whole new mindset.
Yeah.
See, before that, I didn't see that I was trapped in some victim corner, licking my wounds, head wrapped in a blanket, waiting for the troops to come.
Well, it's interesting
You
you say
know?
that because our guest several episodes back, Channing Cash, she was talking about how being in a wheelchair, what got her to go was she stopped waiting for people. If you're going to wait for people, you're going to be waiting a really long time to come and help you. And it sounds
Right.
exactly, whether that is physical or mental, nobody's coming to save you, right? It's like, it's kind of up to us to make the choice to move forward. So it sounds like it kind of kickstarted you, literally.
That's the very realization I needed.
Uh-huh.
Until we see it as a choice, it's not. And we just roll with our programming. And I didn't even see that I was in victim mode until Mary Louise kick-started me into that. And I saw for the first time that I was waiting for the economy to change, right? As soon as those troops come, then I'll be okay. Or my business partner to straighten out the business model. When those troops come, then I'll be fine. Right? Or when insurance companies finally figure out how to compensate a psychologist, then when those troops come, I should be good. Or those guys I invested with. As soon as they pay me back. And you know what, Blue? I'm sure as soon as they get out of prison, that's the top thing on their list. I mean, how long am I willing to wait
Yeah.
for the troops to come?
But you're waiting because that's programmed in you, right? And you're an expert. So it's like you didn't even realize that this is going on in your mind. So you're thinking and you're waiting, like eventually it's going to get better and success is going to come after I work more hours or whatever. So that when she kickstarted you and you changed your mindset, like what caused you to say, okay, I have to self-reflect on this, and now I'm about to make this change. Like, what did that look like for you? Because I would come to you and tell you that problem, right? And I would want you to solve that problem. But in reality, all you would have is a tool to help me. But who was helping you besides yourself?
You know, sometimes the doctor has to be the patient. Because Blue, positive psychology was not the plan. It was the lifeline. That's what saved me. One of my clients told me this. It was around that same time frame. And he said, you know, Dr. Paul, there are two kinds of people on this planet. And as a psychologist, I'm interested. Please reveal.
Yeah. Sure.
What are we talking about? And he said, there are those who are humble. And there are those who are about to be. And you probably noticed this. I mean, either we humble ourselves to be teachable and coachable, or life beats us up and then we're humble to be teachable and coachable. Well, my circumstances had humbled me to the point where I was now open. And a lot of this I had already learned back in shrink school. I mean, I knew the philosophy. I knew the theories. I could sit there and spout the prescription to the clients about what they should do, right? That's all easy. But when it hits you, I had to test it. I had to find out, does this really hold water? And from that was born a model. I call it the positivity model, which is basically the operating instructions for the equipment of your own brain. And either you run your thoughts or your thoughts run you.
And
So learning how to operate the equipment becomes very, very important.
okay, so you're applying it. We're going to be right back after a word from our sponsor.
After a car accident, insurance companies will take every shot they can to leave you with nothing. But at Dubin Law, the game isn't over until you get the money you deserve. So call Dubin Law and add us to your roster today.
Very, very important.
Okay, so you're applying it to yourself now. You can look around and you say, I know all of these things, but applying them to myself is easier said than done. And that applies to so many different things, like do as I do, but not as I say, or vice versa. And it's just like, oh my gosh, it's like I always tell people, they're like, oh well, like what kind of a personal trainer would work well with me? And it's like somebody who would get you to where you want to go, but also looks the way that you want to look like, right? Like you're not going to go to a dentist without teeth. You want to go to a dentist with teeth. And so it's the same thing. It's like, can they apply what they're teaching, right? And I'll always remember someone told me that I had a finance teacher, and they were like, why would you go to college and learn from a finance teacher? Because if they're teaching, then they obviously don't know anything about finance. And so I literally asked that question, and my instructor says, you are your greatest asset. And I enjoy teaching and I enjoy this thing. But if I was to give you one piece of advice, it would be invest in yourself. Right. And you being here at school is investing in yourself. You're learning. And so that was like a huge takeaway, but it was like, okay, does this person apply what they're talking about? And it sounds like you had this epiphany and you're like, okay, am I applying it? Number one. And number two, you were like, okay, if I do apply it, is it going to work? And so that's where you're at. You're at that. And is it going to work?
And you don't know beforehand.
Yeah.
Right? I think we make a mistake sometimes in that we require from ourselves confidence before we move forward with something. I want to feel confident about that. But confidence is a strategic side effect. What's really required first, I learned this from one of my coaches and mentors, Dan Sullivan, who taught that first you have to have courage and commitment.
Mm-hmm.
And when you have courage and commitment, you'll do what's required to gain the competence, and then you get the confidence later on. And I love the way Dan describes this, because he says, what's the difference between confidence and courage? Well, confidence feels good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And
courage doesn't feel good.
You know, you get that scary feeling, right? Well, and I think you're also tapping in on to the fact that it's like you're not born with confidence, and it comes through the failures and it comes through the repetitions that you put in. And but it takes that first step. It takes accepting that maybe you're in a dark place, accepting that maybe you're not applying what you tell other people to apply, and you're taking that courage and that step and you're moving forward. And then comes along this journey of where, like, all of these bumps and bruises, all of a sudden you begin to gain that confidence. And that's what you did, obviously.
Yeah. I'm also making a distinction in my own mind here. I got this feeling, actually, Blue, as I was reading your book. I got this sum of 4 in the mail the other day. I don't know. Somebody sent it to me.
On that one, I love it.
and you know what? I had this thought as I was reading your book, and I think I'm in this boat right now. There's a difference between knowledge and wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
Because as a young PhD psychologist, I had plenty of knowledge. I didn't yet have the life experience to back it up. And that's what brings the wisdom effect. And I got that sense as I was reading your book, because you're sharing your experiences that have proven the theories. Meaning it's been proved in your own life. See, it can be in your heart and head, but until it gets in your shoes, it doesn't make any difference. It's got to walk around in your life.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what the blessing of the bankruptcy was for me. I got to test it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've been telling clients, circumstances are neutral.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Mm.
Even this one,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? It's easy to say it about somebody else's circumstances.
Yeah.
But when you get to test it in your own life, it becomes real. It's like I said, positivity, this positivity model that I am now known for
Uh-huh.
was not the plan. It was the lifeline.
Well,
And because of that, now I can share it with a level of credibility and confidence now.
okay. And so what you're hitting on, and you just mentioned this, is that you're talking about the knowledge versus the wisdom. It's the Japanese believe that you cannot understand something fully unless you can teach it. And it sounds like with your wisdom, you now can teach that. And now you have that many more tools and you have more assets to be able to share with other people about this positivity. And so I think that's where that confidence begins to come down to, is because you have this anchor now. You have an anchor where you've lived in that shoe.
Yeah.
And you can relate to other people and you can relate to other circumstances. And now you kind of have this street credibility.
Yes. If people can relate to that. They can't relate to some guy with a PhD that's coming in with all the book knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
I go to professional conferences sometimes with psychologists presenting in language that bores me to tears. I mean, they're brilliant.
Yeah.
Blue,
Yeah.
you're a speaker. You know that there is a stagecraft and there's a level of honing the craft of delivering the content. It gets lost in all of the intellectual hoo-ha.
What would you say?
So,
Well, and I agree with you, because when I hear other speakers, especially on like a tour or something like that, and you're on with other people, or they're before you or after you, you see like a lecture style, right? Like they have their PowerPoints up, and it's like people are reading them rather than listening to the person speak, and it sounds like that comes across that way. What is something that when you do go to these events or these conferences and you listen to these brainiacs, these people who obviously know what they're doing, like what surprises you most about what they know or don't know that you have experienced because you've gotten your hands dirty and you know what that experience feels like?
you know what pops into my mind as you ask that question is that the content is free, especially in the days of AI.
Mm-hmm.
You can go ask ChatGPT, what would Dr. Paul say about this? And then ChatGPT will give you a little list. And you mentioned like the presentations where someone's got their PowerPoint up there and it's like death by bullet points.
Mm-hmm.
It's just ugh. Please, if they read the slide, turn around, say any questions, and turn around and read the next one. Information is free. Containers are rare. And what I think professional speakers have a special way of containing information within stories, with compelling examples of how this plays out in real life.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm referring to as a container.
Mm-hmm.
And with humor and story and compelling examples of why this is even relevant, so that people can actually apply it.
Well, and resonate with it or relate to it. And I think that
Right.
AI is never going to replace a human story. They might be able to answer certain things, but AI is never going to have a story attached to it. And that's my uniqueness. That's what I try to leverage. And it's my difference that makes me so special, right? And AI could never create a story about an 8-year-old boy who got picked on and beat up and ended up where he is today, and all of the challenges that I've experienced, because all of those little stories that AI will never do. Even I could throw my entire book in, but it's not going to know like what my story is and what my feelings are. And that is something that I can share, and being able to do that from stage, you do that very, very well as well. And it's like being able to speak from your heart rather than the slides behind you, even though you're an expert, is what makes people take away. And so I guess one of the questions I wanted to ask you is like, what do people not know that you think about positive psychology, like what is something that people need to know that they haven't heard before that you would speak to them?
This is, you see me smiling, Blue, because this is the coolest thing about my job. I get to illuminate the obvious, which is so cool because I get paid to tell people things they already know.
Oh my God. Stop. That is so right on. And the reason that I say that is because, I mean, it is very different. It's very unique, or it's rare when someone says something that no one's ever said before or done or thought of, or like a process or a system. And so really it's you telling your story in a different way that might relate to somebody else. And that is what you're telling. You're reminding people how simple it is to think positively, how to think better about themselves, how to have a better relationship. And it's like, you're just reminding people. And it is so important for people to understand that. Like I always say, like, I'm here to remind you how to make meaningful relationships with people. It's not that hard. It's like getting in shape. Everyone knows how to get in shape. You move more and you don't eat crappy food. It's not that difficult, but it's just as simple not to do those things, right? And it's easier to blame other people or rationalize or make up excuses. And so, like you, we're sharing a different story, a different impact that may relate to them, but you're just reminding people on how simple it is to be more positive.
And the reason this is so powerful, when I say illuminate the obvious, there are obvious things that are completely unnoticed. Like, let's go there for a minute. The feeling of your shirt. Mm-hmm. Can you feel it on your body right now?
Yes. I have to think about
now.
It. Yeah.
Now.
Yeah.
Because I called it to your attention. But you didn't notice it before I called it to your attention.
Right.
Or the fact that we're speaking English. Did you notice?
No.
It's obvious, Blue.
Sure.
But unnoticed. And most of the processes, so this is where psychology gets to be so much fun, because most of what your brain is doing is in that realm. It's obvious, but completely unnoticed until someone calls it to your attention. That's my job. And I am not here to tell you how to think. I don't have that kind of authority.
Mm-hmm.
I do invite you to notice that you're thinking, and then the thinking has a profound impact on how you feel, how you show up, which brings about the results in your world. And so that awareness is key. Awareness precedes choice. And until you see it as a choice, it's not. I mean, you've heard people say, well, just, happiness is a choice, which is so annoying. Because until you see it as a choice, it's not. And you have to see how it's a choice. That's the power of the model that came from my lightning strikes experience.
So how do people, let me stop you there and pause for a second. How do people see it as a choice? In all of your experience over your decades of talking to thousands of people and helping so many people and having so many guests on your podcast, how do people see that that's a choice? Is there a little switch that just has to happen? Is it someone in their corner that simply reminds them that you are speaking English versus Japanese, or that your shirt color, or that do you feel the cotton on your body? How do people realize that it's a choice? Or is it a constant thing? Like you're always constantly reminded, and we always need those reminders no matter what, wherever we are in our life.
I think the reminders are essential. In fact, when you mentioned the shirt again, I'm like, oh yeah, there it is again. Uh-huh. Right? Because my brain had already forgotten about the feeling of my shirt because we were done talking about it. Then you reminded me, and it's like, oh yeah, there it is. And it's really it's a lot like that. I remember there was a story about Zig Ziglar, one of the founding fathers of the National Speakers Association. And he was one of the first really to make motivational speaking a thing. And somebody approached him after one of his presentations once and said, It's really great when I hear you speak and I feel all energized and excited and I'm ready to just take on the world, but it doesn't last.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And Zig said, yeah, neither do showers. That's why we recommend them regularly.
That was a great comeback on that one. I mean, but there's so much truth to that.
Yeah.
There really is.
Well, it's a process. See, I said earlier, either we drive our thoughts or our thoughts drive us.
Mm-hmm.
And without intentional processes that we install, we default to our programming. And by programming, I mean, like even language. Here we are having this conversation in English. Oh, yeah, obvious, but we didn't notice before I mentioned it.
Mm-hmm.
We're having this conversation in English. Blue, we didn't even discuss what language we were going to speak today. We both defaulted to our programming.
Yeah.
And to our culture. And, it's just like, well, of course we're going to speak English.
Yeah.
I am fluent in Finnish. What if we just switch on over?
Then it would be a one-way conversation.
Yeah, because you haven't developed competence in Finnish.
Sure.
And that's okay. Don't feel guilty. Most people don't.
But we could switch to Japanese if you want to.
Now, and I'm working on Spanish.
Okay. There you go.
Okay, so there's a lot of other language, but notice what it takes to learn another language. You know Japanese?
Yeah.
How did you learn Japanese?
It was one of my college degrees, number one. Then I lived and worked in Japan. And then
Interesting.
I also, from a young age of 8, I knew about 100 words because every martial art in Japanese, you have to learn the vocabulary words attached to it. So that's what started me at 8 years old. But
Now,
like you, Spanish is very similar because it has the same vowels. Okay, the a, e, o, e, o system. And so it was just an easy transition into Japanese. But that's how I learned. But it took a long time, from 8 until 49 years old.
well, so what I'm observing about that process is at some point there is a conscious choice to learn Japanese.
Mm-hmm.
Or Spanish or Finnish or Swahili, whatever, right? There's a conscious choice. The choice is essential, but not sufficient. Because after you choose it, what did you do? You practiced a lot.
Yeah.
You got an instructor. You moved to freaking Japan.
Mm-hmm.
And I lived in Finland for a couple of years. Okay, so you immerse yourself in it, you work on it, you practice it. It's an intentional process and it doesn't come easily. Do you remember choosing to speak English?
No.
Because you were programmed by people who didn't even give you a choice.
So
And not that that was bad, it's just your programming.
So are you saying that our programming is based off of the influences, and maybe if we are reminded of those influences or why we're doing, critically thinking about why we're making these choices, is that the answer that you're saying? Is that how we decide to make a choice?
That is part of it, because awareness precedes choice. Once you become aware of it, then you're in a position to choose. Let me give you an example of how this plays out. Because in the model, there are two processes that our brain is doing constantly. We can't even turn them off. It's kind of like gravity. You ever get up in the morning and think, oh, I wonder if gravity's on today? It tends to be.
Yeah.
And it will remind you if you forget.
Yeah.
So these are the processes of evaluation and creation. Let's start with evaluation.
Mm-hmm.
Notice this. I invite you to notice. This is obvious but unnoticed. I invite you to notice that you are constantly judging. Okay, now evaluation's a nicer word, but we're kind of a judgy bunch for the most part. We judge ourselves pretty harshly sometimes. We judge our family, spouse, kids. We judge the economy, the weather, the government. You're judging me. It's cool. I'm judging you.
Thanks for giving me that hall pass on that one.
But I just invite you to notice it. I'm not saying it's bad.
Yeah.
I'm just, because our brain's job, this is psychology,
Sure.
folks. It's not rocket science. It's a different science. Our brain's job is to keep us safe. Primarily, keep us safe. And to prove us right.
Okay.
And both of those get in our way all the time. But to keep us safe, our brain has to constantly be judging. Is this safe or dangerous? That's a judgment. Okay? Is this a good idea or a bad idea? Is this painful or pleasant? And we're constantly judging. So I just invite you to notice that.
Okay.
And I didn't catch what you just said then.
Or I said AKA evaluating.
Right. That's a nicer word.
Right.
Right.
Okay. And how
but
do you
it's
transition into the creation, or what is the switch that occurs?
well. Let's pause before we go to creation mode because it's a different mode
Okay.
that uses the same brain. Okay. Now, in the model, I start with an assumption that it is what it is. Okay. Now that's kind of an annoying phrase too, depending on who's saying it and why. But all it means is where you are, what you have, who you're with, the way things are right now without changing a darn thing. It is what it is. What is your brain doing with it? Judging it. Okay, so you look at your circumstance, whatever it is.
Bankruptcy or whatever.
Yeah, so go back to the bankruptcy. I'm in a bankruptcy. Okay, what's my brain doing? It's like, well, is this good or bad? I don't know. I'll check.
I would say it was bad, right? And
I did.
It's right. Like you're the stigma attached to it, and you're like, how am I going to pay for my peanut butter and jelly sandwich? Is my wife going to hate me? What am I going to do with my kid? Like all of this is rushing in, and I'm evaluating.
And there's plenty of evidence because our brain's job is also to prove us right. So once we make a judgment, our brain is going to give us all kinds of evidence that we're right about that.
Telling us what we want to hear.
Yeah, you've heard of confirmation bias. Your brain will look for and discover and even fabricate evidence that you're right.
This is the pink Cadillac analogy, like when you buy a new pink Cadillac, but then you start driving around, you see it all the time.
Your attention is drawn to it, but not only that, your brain, it's kind of a safety factor. So it ties into the first job of your brain to keep you safe. But to prove you right, I need to be right about this because if I'm wrong about this, then I don't know what to do. And so in the bankruptcy, let me just share with you a little shift that happened for me because during that time, my wife and I were invited to be trip leaders for a group of youth that were reenacting a pioneer trek. Okay, these are some of the early Western pioneers that were dragging hand carts across the plains to settle in a new area. And we were some of the leaders. Well, as part of that experience, they invited us to look into our own history. And I have pioneer ancestors. So I looked up some of their stories. And some of my ancestors were in a group called the Willie Handcart Company. Okay, now, if you go do any search on that, you'll find that this was an ill-fated company. Okay, most of them died out there on the plains. They ran into some early winter weather hardship like crazy. Okay, this family that I descended from had 7 children that they were dragging across the plains with a handcart Winter storms came. They're burying people before they leave in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
And it turned on a light for me. I'm like, okay, bankruptcy, bad, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not burying my children on the side of a trail.
Mm-hmm.
I know where they're sleeping tonight. I know that we're going to feed them tomorrow.
So your
And something shifted for me.
changing. Okay, what?
Something shifted for me in that moment. And what shifted was not my circumstance. I was still in a bankruptcy.
Sure. I like that.
So let me show you on the model. When you take what it is, and for me, what it is was a bankruptcy,
Mm-hmm.
and you compare it, now we're in evaluation mode, we compare it to something better, and you can always imagine something better,
Sure.
right? Like not being in a bankruptcy. How do you feel about being in a bankruptcy? It sucks.
Sure.
It really does suck compared to something better.
Yeah.
But what happened when I thought about some of my pioneer ancestors? Now I've still got the same bankruptcy, but now I'm comparing it to something
Worse.
worse.
Got it.
And the emotional energy shifts with that comparison, because compared to burying my kids on the side of the trail, well, I'm good. No, I'll keep this, thank you.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
What it is didn't change. What changed?
Just your thought process, the way you evaluated the better for the worst. Your comparison.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so going back to the choice, okay, awareness precedes choice. Do you get to choose your what it is? Or does it sometimes just fall in your lap?
Sure.
You didn't choose to be bullied as a child. I didn't choose a bankruptcy. People don't choose to have terrorists fly planes into their building.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And we can think of any what it is, and it applies here. You don't get to choose that. You get to choose your position, aka attitude. Okay, attitude is a term that's synonymous with position. It's actually defined as position.
Okay.
It's an aviation term. My pilot son taught me that. It's the position of the plane. The position of your evaluation, it puts you in a different position relative to what it is.
Is that the same as saying it puts you into a different mindset? Like it's just how you look at it. Do you choose to look at it this way, or do you choose to look at it another way? Is that it? That's for our listeners. I think that's basically what you're saying. Okay. So
yes.
So most people blame their circumstances. They're like, oh, it's this, or they want to blame their boss, or they want to blame their upbringing or their past or something like that. So from a psychological perspective, and this is what you're tapping into, how much control do we actually have of our mindset? Is it just simply you look at if I mentally picture your little graph that you had, better word, is it that simple?
If a couple of assumptions are true, it may be that simple. Now, simple and easy are not the same thing.
100%. Because I could say that it's easy to get in shape versus it's simple to get in shape, right? And because it is two different things.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. We're on the same wavelength here, okay? So is it simple? Yes. It is that simple. Is it that easy? No. Why? Because of programming.
Okay.
And habit, because you're already used to viewing something like bankruptcy, whatever your bankruptcy is, okay? You're already used to concluding that that is bad. And it is, compared to something better, it is bad. Until we see that we have a choice to see it differently, it's not a choice. We'll just default to our programming. Okay. So that's the first hurdle we get to overcome. But even when you see it, programming is strong.
And
it's not going to feel right.
Because it's going to be the courage that you spoke about, what Dan Sullivan brings up, is that it takes courage to make a choice to see it positive or negative. Or to take that
It
first step to no matter what, you've got to start moving forward. You got to choose up versus down.
Well, the choice is first. So, like, go back to learning a language for a minute. You make a choice. I'm going to learn Japanese. Okay? And then you get some Japanese vocabulary, and it doesn't sound right. It sounds foreign to you. This will too. This will too. Most people look at something painful, difficult, frustrating as bad. Painful and bad aren't the same thing. You're a trainer, you know this. Painful and bad are not the same thing. It can be painful and be very good.
Yeah.
Okay, but it depends on your position relative to that. Okay, so we get to...
It's important. Say that again, please.
What depends is, it depends on your position, your chosen position or attitude around what it is. So I've got a brain hack. Can I share a little brain hack on this? And then I'll tell you about creation mode too, because you asked earlier.
Would this be the same thing as me asking, like, what is somebody who wakes up in the morning and decides, like, how do I make this switch? Is that what you're basically going to answer?
Yeah, so here's the hack.
Okay.
It's gratitude. Okay, but most people, when they do, you've done gratitude journaling, I'm sure, in the past sometime. We make gratitude lists. Most of us do it wrong. Wrong, different. When people do a gratitude list, they usually list out all the things that are easy to be grateful for. Okay, so they're writing down family and health and rainbows, and puppies and indoor plumbing. Anybody can be grateful for that. It would be like going to the gym, and instead of getting on the machines or the weights, you just pick up a pen off of that reception desk. 5 reps on the right, 5 reps on the left, put it down, come back tomorrow. You're going to get stronger, right?
Probably not.
You got to put on some weight.
Yeah.
Do you want to work out or do you want to wimp out? The workout, when it comes to gratitude, you can put a few of the things that are easy to be grateful for. That's fine. You get a few freebies. But if you were to do it this way, just think 25-5, okay?
25.
5 means 5 days, starting today. Make a list of 25 items that you are sincerely grateful for. And at least half, that's 13 if you're doing the math, have to be about the hard stuff. Something that's difficult, painful, frustrating, annoying, kicking your butt. And I'm not saying be grateful. Here's another example, Blue. My oldest son is raising 5 of my grandkids out in Chicago. He calls me 2 years ago. Dad, I have cancer. Cancer. Now, what is your cancer? Okay, whatever your version of cancer is. And for some of you listening, that is it. I mean, statistically. I'm not saying be grateful for the cancer. I'm saying open it up and look inside of there. Rummage around. See what you can find that you are grateful for. In that cancer, Blue, I found 9 trips to Chicago to support cancer treatments, but also to hang out with 5 of my grandkids. Am I grateful for that? Yeah. Am I grateful for the cancer? See, that's a harder ask, but that's where I found it.
Okay, so you're not
It's in
grateful
there.
for the what it is, but you are finding the silver lining in the better.
Find what you're grateful for in it, from it, because of it. This is game changing. This is life saving.
Well, what have you found through the people that you've spoken to and the people that you've helped? What are some of those hardest things that are difficult to get to that gratitude level, like that cancer? Like, what are things that people might think are impossible for them to find any positive out of? And I mean, you just gave us an example about cancer, but in your experience, what have been some things that you have no idea, but they somehow can break into it and find it?
It's all in the punctuation. Here's what I mean. Check this out. So you find your cancer, whatever your cancer is. Find something that's difficult, painful, frustrating. If you don't have something, we can get you something.
Okay.
So you pick that thing. Now the question is, what is there to be grateful for in this? But most people don't use a question mark. They use an exclamation point.
Okay.
What is there to be grateful for in this?
Sure.
It's not even a question. It's a complaint. It's a statement disguised as a question. Turn it back into a question.
Now,
What
go ahead.
is there to be grateful for in this? Make it a real question. And you're asking your brain to do something different with it.
So you're saying to ask yourself, I guess you could do both. You could be that confident support system with someone who's going through something and has a cancer that you're like, and I could ask them this question, what could you be grateful? Which I'm assuming is probably like walking on eggshells. That's a difficult conversation.
I'd be careful with that.
Right.
Yeah. Most of the tools I'm sharing with you are for personal use only.
Okay.
Yeah. I get paid big bucks to help people through this, and they still don't want to hear it from me.
Mm-hmm.
There's a little bit of an art form to coaching.
Sure.
Okay. So if you'll think of this as tools for personal use only, we're going to put ourselves in a positive position. And from that energy, there's a lot of ways we can help other people. But that's probably worth a little disclaimer, a little warning there.
Okay, so you phrase it in a question, and you ask yourself, what is my choice?
What is there to be grateful for in this thing that is hard, difficult, painful, frustrating, annoying, kicking my butt?
What does that do psychologically in our brain? What does just asking it and forming it or phrasing it that way?
It changes your energy, your position toward what it is. Because you're not saying you're grateful for what it is. You're finding something good in it, and that changes your energy. This is important because whatever energy we create in evaluation mode, we take to creation mode.
Which brings us to our second part, the creation mode. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Now this is about creation of what is to be, not what it is. What is to be doesn't even exist yet. We haven't created it yet.
Okay.
So the only place that it even exists right now is in our imagination. And Blue, we're using the same imagination that we use in evaluation mode to come up with some standard to compare our what it is to.
Okay.
But in this case, we're predicting. We're expecting, we're anticipating, we're maybe even planning what is to be. So connect to
between that and manifestation.
Well, manifestation is the last step of a 6-part creation process.
I opened up a can of worms. Okay.
Yeah, and I do full day trainings on that.
Okay.
But just as a quick preview to what I'm talking about here, creation always starts with discontent.
Okay.
Pain is a big impetus for creation. But even just looking at a blank canvas and saying, oh, it could be better, right?
Yeah.
Discontent puts us on a creation path. The next step is called the choice, and that's where we choose our position, positive or negative. That's why this is so important to a creation process. If we choose a negative position about what it is, we go into victim mode, and we just curl up in a corner. And we conclude that we can't do anything.
Let programming
Life sucks.
Over. Okay.
Yeah, and we default to our programming. Yes, well said.
Okay,
and that leads to the question, if not this, then what? Where we come up with a new idea of something that's going to take the place of whatever's generating the discontent for us. And then there's the plan, where we have to actually figure out how we're going to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the work, where we move the elements around to match our plan. And then there's the manifestation. It's the sixth step in a creation process.
Okay.
So I just laid more on you than you wanted to hear, probably. But
What I'm hearing is that you're saying for people to make a list of 25 things that you are grateful for, right? And and 13 of them have to suck. They have to be hard to talk about or hard to find a silver lining within. And then once you do that and you start to look at it, look at the what it is, as you coined, and seeing it either as positive or worse. If you choose to look at it and phrase it as a question, then it already starts to get your mind to start thinking differently. And then you start to, I want to say, I don't want to say brainstorm, but it's like it starts creating different ways of figuring it out, right? Like
exactly.
Okay, so then you have more options on the table. It creates options or more choices that maybe you start to see yourself not as the worst of it. And so it's every day then taking that step forward to moving it. And there you have a 6-step process that you go through, obviously. But that is that work through when somebody sees it. So what's the hard psychological truth that people don't understand about capturing it?
I think when we're talking creation mode, again, we're now on the top part of the model. And as I'm sharing this model, I've got this all explained in a little mini book. The portable positivity, and we're making that available to anyone who's listening. So as you're listening and you want to dive into this model, I got a free copy of this. Just go to drpauljenkins.com/blue, which is totally random. I just totally made that up. And we'll get you a copy of that so that you can review it. When we're going to the creation model, Blue, we don't know what's coming. I mean, test that for a minute. How you doing next week?
Right, we don't know. We don't know.
You don't, but you've got predictions.
Okay.
Okay? Because notice how often we'll say, oh, it's going to be so whatever. We predict, oh, that test is going to be, oh, my wife is going to be, we predict all the time. And we suck at it. But we do it all the time.
Oh, okay. Well, it sounds to me really quick. I want to pause you just because it sounds almost like we're all given choices. We have these what it's, right? What it is. I'm going to call them as what it is. And it's like what you decide to do after that, it's up to you. You're the one flying the plane, and you don't know what's going to happen. But as long as you're still moving forward, then more options or choices become apparent, and you're going to have to manipulate your trajectory the entire time. Like there's no one straight path to getting there, right? And how do you tell someone to? I guess I want to say, like, instead of reacting to things, you begin living with intent and purpose behind it. Because that sounds like I can react to everything and always be on the defense, or I can be more proactive and know that life is going to suck. I'm going to have certain what it is in my life that are some great and some are cancerous and they suck. But it's like, it's up to me to either react to them or pursue a life with intent and purpose.
When it comes to the reaction, a lot of times when I'm training on this, people will acknowledge that we don't get to choose what it is. Sometimes that just lands in our lap.
Sure.
And then I'll say, so what do we get to choose? And they almost always say, well, we get to choose what we're going to do with it, which is creation mode. Because what it is all you got. I'm not saying it's all you could have. I'm saying it's the construction materials that landed in your lap. You're going to use whatever it is to go create what is to be.
Oh, I love that. I love that because you do not get to decide what's on your food plate when you're born. right? Like you don't, you have what it is. And you have
Yeah.
whatever's on there, and you get to do with whatever it is. Whether you're starting on first base or third base, or you're already rounded home 5 times in life. It's like you cannot choose who your parents are, and you
Right.
can't choose what's on your plate. But you can choose what you do with what's on your plate. I love that.
Think of it as your construction materials. Here you go. Go make something with this.
Okay.
And a creative mind can make something with any materials that are available.
Are kids better at this than adults?
Usually. they're not as highly programmed yet.
Sure.
Right? Now, adults can do it too.
Uh-huh.
And without getting into all of the mechanics around how we actually create and live a life that we love, let's go to the emotional impact of anticipating, predicting, or expecting. Because we don't know what's coming. So all we can do is imagine or predict or expect, right? When we imagine or predict or expect that what's coming is even worse than what we already have, how do we feel?
You feel horrible, or you're scared, and you're what I think you're going to say is you're forced to make a decision.
Well, this, my friend, is anxiety. Okay, remember, you're talking to a professional psychologist right now.
Yeah, not Brennan, my producer in the other room. Hey, Brennan.
This is anxiety, and it's almost pandemic
100%.
because people are sure that what's coming is even worse. And anxiety puts us into the fight or flight response.
Mm-hmm.
Fight. Do you see any of that in the news anywhere?
Mm-hmm.
Or flight? How is this going to solve any of our social problems?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's a choice to see it that way. What if we anticipate or expect or predict or even plan that what's coming is going to be even better than what we've already got? What does that feel like?
Awesome. But now I'm going to pause you because that's okay. So like, I'm not going to throw my wife under the bus, but she loves the show Inside Out with anxiety, right? And anxiety,
Yes.
You can't go to bed at night. She's like, oh, I'm just thinking about tomorrow. I'm thinking about, I can't wait to go to bed because it means I'm going to wake up in the morning and have breakfast, whatever I want. Like I am. So how do you talk to people who might think opposite, right? Like they turn to anxiety, whereas the other person always sees like, oh, it's going to be an awesome day tomorrow. Like, how do you talk to somebody like that?
I love, Blue, that your brain keeps going to, how can we help people with this?
What? I do enjoy helping other people. It fills my bucket.
Let's start here,
Okay.
right? Do you remember positivity wasn't the plan, it was the lifeline.
Mm-hmm.
And because I was able to apply this inside of me, it puts me in a position where I can help a whole lot of people. A whole lot of people. When I was doing that traditional psychotherapy practice, and unfortunately, Blue, the term psychotherapy sounds a little like therapy for psychos, which is unfortunate because these principles are life and relationship saving.
Mm-hmm.
If we can get past the stigmas and the taboos and realize this is how human brains operate and get intentional about which way we take it.
Mm-hmm.
When you said it feels good to anticipate that awesome things are going to happen.
Yeah.
May I remind you that you don't know.
But I know that. I know that I know that I might book this gig tomorrow, or I might land this modeling job, or and it's almost like the reward is, it's the chase is almost fun, and it's like exciting, and whether I get it or not, because I don't always get it. We never always get told yes, right?
Yeah.
But I've had enough experience in my life that I haven't gotten that SAG commercial. I haven't landed that giant gig, but I know that, and so it's almost like I don't know. I'm looking forward, whether it's a positive or a negative reaction, or a yes or a no. I'm just looking forward to that tomorrow.
You're anticipating better things to come.
Okay.
And my acknowledgement that you don't know hopefully reveals, and remember, my job is to illuminate the obvious,
Mm-hmm.
that you're taking a position on it. And somebody else, maybe your wife included, might take a different position.
Mm-hmm.
None of us know what's coming. We all have predictions. And since we don't know, what if we were to choose a position that serves us well? Because either it's going to generate anxiety
Mm-hmm.
or what I've labeled as hope. When we
Hope.
anticipate better things to come, I call that hope. And it is the number one preventative factor for suicide.
Because hope is a good thing, Red. That is from one of my favorite movies of all time, Shawshank Redemption. I think
It saves lives, Blue.
Oh, I 100%. So, okay. So then let's break that down just for a second, because you can either choose to go down the anxiety level or anxiety tunnel, right? Or you can have hope. And can you give me an example, or can you tell me something that somebody can do this morning who doesn't feel like they have any hope in their life, that they're struggling with everything. Like they wake up tomorrow morning and they don't have hope. What can they do right now?
So glad you asked, because I got another brain hack for you. Okay, I already gave you the 25 gratitude items 5 days in a row. And lean in. Don't wimp out. Work out.
Mm-hmm.
Pick the hard stuff. Find something that you're grateful for. That's the first brain hack. The second brain hack I call BB-8. I don't know if you're a Star Wars fan.
Yeah. Don't you challenge me on that.
That's a little, no, we're not giving you a droid.
Okay. Those aren't the droids we're looking for. But continue.
The BB-8 helps you to remember the brain hack. Okay. So look at the clock. How sure are you that 8 o'clock is coming?
Pretty sure.
Pretty darn sure.
Uh-huh.
How sure are you that you'll be around for 8 o'clock?
Pretty sure. I'm going to go with a pretty sure on that one.
Almost. I always hear a little intonation change.
Yeah, a little less.
Yeah, but come on. You've got a great track record. You've made it to every 8 o'clock so far your whole life.
Sure.
And there's 2 every day for those who don't get up early.
I just told my kids that. That's funny.
So, 8 o'clock is coming, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're probably going to be around for 8. There's only 2 options. And I used to think there were 3. I eliminated the third one because I don't think it's possible for things to be exactly the same at 8 o'clock as they are right now. Something's going to be different. At least you're going to be a few hours older.
Sure.
You might be more hungry, more tired. I don't know. It depends on what you did just before 8.
Yeah.
What if I gave you an assignment to go out there today and see if you can find some way to make your life worse? Could you do it?
I don't want to, but okay.
Well, you don't want to, but look how quickly your brain came up with half a dozen ways to pull that off.
Sure. And it did. I seriously was like, well, I guess I could go try to run out of gas on my way home or something. Yeah.
Yeah. Or drive into oncoming traffic or rob a bank or abuse a child. I mean, there are so many ways.
Sure.
That you could totally tank your life. Remember, I'm a clinical psychologist. You can't shock me. I've seen some of the darnest crap you can imagine.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so notice that, because if you can make a mess, that's good news. Wait, how's that good news? Because if you can make a mess, then you can make
it better.
And that's good news.
Okay.
So let's choose what direction it's going. BB-8 stands for better by 8.
Better by 8. And there's 2 times.
I'm not talking next month, next week, next year. I'm talking 8 o'clock. So invite your powerful brain right now in this moment to think of something. It can be little or big. It doesn't matter. You're the creator. You decide. That would make your life or some aspect of it better by 8. What comes to mind, Blue?
I could have a new subscriber on the YouTube channel and I could have an amazing pickup for food with my kids, and my wife comes back in from Seattle from her flight, and the food is there ready for them, and I'm able to make my mom's day because it'll be her birthday tomorrow. And that can all happen before 8.
Whoa, that can all happen before 8.
Mm-hmm.
How does that feel?
Great.
Just as you think about it. That's hope. You can reasonably hope for better things to come because all of that is doable, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, okay. And I want to pause you just really quick because I want to dive deeper on this really quick. And I have heard, and you would know more than me, I have heard that your brain doesn't know the difference between really happening sometimes and let's not call it the manifestation of it, but like positive thinking of it, because it doesn't know the difference. Is that true? Like, am I on a page on that, or?
Where does the creation happen?
In our mind.
Happens in our mind. An architect will always be paid more than a construction worker. Why?
Because it has to be formulated first.
That's where it's created.
Sure.
The construction workers go out and do the work part, which is moving physical elements into a pattern that's already been created. So it matters what we think. And this is where it starts. Better by 8. If you'll do this for the same 5 days, you get to have 10 upgrades. Because there's 2 8 o'clocks every day. How does that feel?
It feels awesome. So that's taking goal setting and multiplying it, like Dan Sullivan would talk about, like the 10 times is greater than 2. So like it, and you're just saying, let me ask you, how long does it take you? How much time do you need to spend to do that? Does it just take a second? Is it super fast? Or should you sit down for 5 minutes? What do you suggest as an expert?
For better by 8?
Yeah.
Start with whatever you're ready to do. I mean, I have clients and have had clients where it's like, well, I could get out of bed, I guess. Sweet. And you can do that by 8? Nice. I could brush my teeth today.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Start wherever you are.
Baby steps.
And other people are like, you know what? I'm going to enroll in that boot camp. It's $12,000. I'm going to do that today before 8. Sweet. I mean, wherever you are, start there. See, there's no requirement for you to be anywhere else. What it is all you got.
Mm-hmm.
Start with that. And then you get those 10 upgrades over the next 5 days. And guess what? You get to look back and see that you had something to do with it. We don't know what's coming. We've sure as heck got something to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
So when we get ourselves into that positive energy, first of all, we start with making peace.
Mm-hmm.
These arrows, by the way, Blue, I didn't tell you. The arrows on the bottom, the green one is peace.
And then you have
the red one is depression.
Red one, depression. Peace and depression.
Yeah, so we got depression and anxiety, and we got peace and hope.
Mm-hmm.
And I've just shown you how it's available on demand. Choose.
BB-8. Better by 8. I love that. Well,
that's cool, huh?
Yeah, because I'm a Star Wars fan too, but it's very simple to remember. And you've just made something simple, not easy, but simple for all of us, all of the listeners and the viewers to actually apply at least twice a day. And it doesn't take a lot, and you need to start where you are. Well, for someone who's listening and has felt stuck for years and maybe feels like they've never applied this, what would you want them to hear right now?
I would want them to hear the conversation we just had. Right? The lights start to go on.
Mm-hmm.
Look, I'm not here to tell you how to think. That's not my job. I'm not saying you should think positively.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm a big fan of positivity, but I want you to see that it's a choice. And once you see that it's a choice, then choose. Let's vacate the whole victim mindset of no choice.
What do you tell people who have that victim mentality? Like, and I'm sure you've run into people, and you hear it probably daily, or in your clinic, or on your podcast, or over the years at conferences and events. Like, when someone comes up to you and can you read it right away, and you're just like, oh man, this. Okay. Do you take a breath, and what do you say to that person?
Well, it depends, because remember, I'm a psychologist, and sometimes people sign up, pay my fee.
Sure.
They still don't want to hear it.
Yeah. You can't make them drink water if you bring it to them. Yeah.
That's the beauty of the model, Blue, because this is not a model about what you're doing. This is a model about how to operate the equipment of a human brain. And everybody that I work with has one. So sharing the model with my stories. See, this is our story with my details.
Sure.
So I'm very open about, the bankruptcy. My son's cancer, which, by the way, I realize I leave people hanging with that sometimes. His last set of
probably come back to that, but yeah.
His last set of scans showed no evidence of disease.
Oh. And
so grateful for that.
Trips to Chicago.
And I got 9 trips to Chicago over the cancer treatment days. And he's now lost 40 pounds that he needed to lose before.
But
I mean, there's so much to be grateful for in any circumstance.
Even if it doesn't end up the way that you had just explained, it's still looking at the positive and deciding to find what's inside that you can be grateful for.
Yeah, well, people have challenged me about that, Blue. They said, what if your son would have died? Well, the news flash, everybody. Nobody gets out of this alive. It's not a question of if my son will die, it's when my son will die. Death is not a bad thing. It's a painful thing for those who survive. I don't know what it's like for the people who died. I've interviewed a few people who came back, though. Excuse me.
Oh, I can't wait to hear that story. I'm going to have to find that episode on your podcast for sure. But
yeah, there have been a few of them.
Oh my goodness. Well, it sounds like you have so much experience and so much knowledge, and I think you and I could talk for literally hours about the pros and cons and how people are doing it. But what I want people to hear, that it just seems to me that, like, our brains aren't our enemies, and how do we talk to ourselves, and how you decide to use what it is, and how do you look at it? Do you look at it for better, or do you look at it for worse? Do you think up or down, which one of our guests talked about, is like, you get to choose whether you think up or down. And it's like, whatever graph works for you, whatever analogy, whatever acronym, BB8 works for you. It's like, it is your choice. And so what would you want all of our listeners to take away, that one nugget that you would want everyone to hear you say and to begin applying right now about their mind, their own personal journey, to look at life a little bit more positively?
It's something that I share with a lot of my clients.
Do I have to pay?
You're right on. Oh yeah, I'll send you a bill. You're right on schedule. You're right on schedule.
Oh.
It's exactly as it should be. Your brain is doing exactly what it was designed to do. And so as you learn more about how those two processes operate in your own mind, evaluation and creation, it puts you in a position of choice. And let's be very forgiving and gracious toward our fellow humans and ourselves, because our programming is strong. And whatever you're doing, you come by it naturally. You come by it honestly. You were programmed. And reprogramming is possible. It takes some work. No surprises there. You probably want a coach or two. And a lot of reps. And you can reprogram.
because it's not.
I'm a black belt in positivity, Blue.
Well, but like you mentioned throughout the podcast, is that that it's not easy. It's simple, but it's not
Yeah.
easy to do. And if I just want everyone to hear that. Like, it's like, you're not, no matter your circumstance, whatever what it is, if you, it's your choice to just look at it as a positive or a negative, a better or a worse, an up or a down. And it is your choice. And it's not easy to make that choice sometimes. And sometimes it does take courage to move forward. And that is living a life of purpose, and that is living a life of happiness. And I want to give you a compliment, because as I was doing some recon on you, not on your black belt of positivity, but you had mentioned something about that a lot of people misunderstand the fact that happiness is the result of being successful. And it's the opposite way. Like, if I believe I'm going to be happy when I have that boat, or I'm going to be happy when I have that beautiful wife or husband. And it's like, I'm going to be happy when I have enough money or I land that job. But in reality, it's the opposite. Can you hit on that very quickly? Because that really stood out to me about having that positive outlook, because happiness and joy is something that a lot of people don't have, or they don't know how to find.
Right. I'm reminded of what, I think it was Thich Nhat Hanh that said, people are stumbling around looking for the way to happiness. They don't understand the way is happiness. And that's a little mind-boggling if you're not in his level of thinking.
Sure.
Or enlightenment. We've known forever in the psychological research and literature that there is a correlation. Now, correlation and causation aren't the same thing. There's a correlation between happiness and success, as measured by whatever you want to measure success by. Money, fame, family connections, relationship, whatever, okay? There's a correlation, but we got it backwards. And you pointed this out. The backwards is, oh, therefore, when I'm successful, then I'll be happy. Right? That's the backwards. All of the research is pointing toward, no, it's the other way around. When we are happy, then we are successful. Because really, that's how you would define success at the end of the day. If you're happy, what else do you need?
Yeah.
Right? But it also seems to have some causal links to being able to generate every other measurable aspect of success. And I'm thinking of some of the work Sean Achor did on this. With his book, The Happiness Advantage, he's a researcher out of Harvard, and he identified that, oh, you know what? This is how it comes about. And happiness is a choice, but until you see it as a choice, it's not. Because we can get stuck in that negativity vector.
Yeah.
Or we can choose a different position relative to what it is, and that changes everything. I think Wayne Dyer put it this way. He said, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change.
That's golden, and that's the difference between perception and perspective too. And I absolutely love that. Like, I think your knowledge has been above and beyond. You've kind of made my mind start to think about BB-8 and my 8 o'clock today. How can people find out more about you? And I know we're going to add a link to the. Thank you very much for the e-version.
Go get the mini book.
I love that. Where can people find out more about you and find your podcast?
The podcast is called Live on Purpose Radio. And you can get that anywhere you get your podcasts. We're on all the major platforms. And I'm interviewing people who are blowing my mind and illuminating things to me all the time. And then I get to share that with others. Blue, you're scheduled. You're coming.
I think that's golden, because one of the things I love to talk about is to stay curious and to constantly and continuously learn, because the day that you graduate from high school is not the day that you stop living. Like, life is your school forever. And I have had so much fun interviewing people like you. And it's just like, because I'm still learning every single day. And then the knowledge and the experience that I'm getting from this, I get to share it with other people. And I love that, because the listeners and the viewers get a piece of that, because there's so much value and experience and knowledge that you and your story has that might affect somebody else and might impact somebody. And you're obviously doing that on your own, but thank you so much for sharing some nuggets and some actionable takeaways that people can begin to apply right now, whether or not they feel stuck, or whether or not they've had years of this feeling of this mentality, of this victim mentality, or they don't feel that they have hope. And thank you for sharing this message with us today, and for everybody to think of it a little differently and to live life intentionally and not to be in that blame mentality.
You're welcome. Thank you for inviting me. I consider this sacred space when I get to come here, be with you, dear listener, as you're listening in. The lights will go on for you, and you'll be able to share that with other people who are important to you. And that means the world to me.
Well, you are making a difference, and you're doing it on a different platform, not in your clinic anymore. And I love that. And thank you so much for being a guest today. And I look forward to meeting you in person, Paul. Thank you so much for being here today.
That'll be a fun day. Thanks, Blue.
Thank you. All right. I'll see you at 8. If this episode brings you value, or you know someone who could benefit from it, the best way to support the show is by sharing and subscribing. It's completely free and helps us reach more people. And if you have any questions, feedback, or guests you'd like me to interview, drop a comment while you're there. I'd love to hear from you. And most importantly, thank you for tuning in. And let's continue sharing optimism and positivity.